Hi guys, this is Nikki here with Creating Amidst Chaos on CraftyLink and ThingsCrafty.com, and I am going to be sharing with you today a video, some basics on tatting. Tatting is an old art of lace making, and it's very similar to macrame and some of the other tying types of art. And I'm sitting here in my living room here in my recliner because it's something that I can do while I'm here with my family. We're watching a movie or my husband's got a game on or something. I can sit here and I can be a part of the family and I can still be creating. And so let's go ahead and learn some of the basics about tatting.
So what I have here, I have two balls of yarn, just scrap yarn that I have laying around. I've got two different colors because I think it's going to be easier for you to see and understand what I'm doing with these two different colors. And then I've got them just tied together in a simple knot. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap the one color around, so that I've got right now, you can see I've got the white wrapped around my fingers, and I'll show you how to wrap them as we get along, but I think the most important thing is understanding how our knots are going to be tied. And so what I'm going to do is, pretending like this brown yarn is my shuttle, I am going to pass the yarn under my thread that's wrapped here around my fingers, and you'll see that I've got a loop here, and I'm going to reach through and grab my thread. Now if you take a look, when I first did that, I automatically tightened it when I shouldn't have, because I want to show you. When you first do it, you see that I've got the brown thread wrapped around the white thread. That is not what I want in this case. I want to pull this and kind of move my fingers back so then I have the white thread that actually is going to be wrapping around my brown thread. Alright, so now that we've got our first throw done, we need to do the opposite here. We're going to move our yarn over, so you see I've got my brown yarn going over top my white, and then I'm going to reach through my loop, pull that brown, and if you take a look and see, I'm sorry I did that quick again. If you take a look and you see, if I tighten that right down, I have my brown thread on the white yarn. So I am going to loosen my fingers so this loop is loose, and I'm going to pull so that that thread, the white thread, instead is wrapping around my my brown yarn. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit here, and I'll try and show you a little bit closer what I'm doing. Here, let's zoom out because it's a little too close. So here, I'm going to wrap this up a little bit tighter because I've got a lot of extra. So again, I've got my first knot that I tied on there. That's called a double stitch or a double knot. And I am going to pass my yarn ball, which we're going to say is a shuttle. Here's my cat wanting outside. We're going to pass my yarn ball, which we're going to pretend is the shuttle, underneath the yarn that's wrapped around our fingers. And then I'm going to reach through this loop that I just made, and I am going to pull my yarn through. Now, if I was to tighten it, again you see that I have a brown loop on my white thread. I want to switch, so I'm going to let the tension off of the loop and tighten my brown thread until that loop of white tightens there around my brown thread. And then, because that's just half of our stitch, we're going to need to go ahead and finish it up, do the second part of our double stitch, and this time we're going to go over top of our white thread, so you can see I've got over top the white thread, and then I am going to reach through underneath and pull it again And there again, if you look and see, I've got my brown loop on the white thread. I need to loosen my fingers here on the loop and pull tight so the thread then switches colors. So then I have the white thread on the brown string. So I'm going to do it a few more times here just so you can see a little bit better, and I'm going to zoom out again just a little bit so you can get a little bit better picture of the whole process. So again, underneath with my brown, and then I've got the loop. I am going to reach through the loop and pull, pretending this is my shuttle, I'm going to pull it taut, and then relax the loop until it flips to a white loop on the brown string. And then we're going to do this one more time here, and because we went under first, we're going to go over top. So here we've got the thread going over top, and then I'm going to reach through and pull my shuttle through, and you can see that I just naturally am going to loosen my fingers. It's one of those things that after you've done it for a while, your fingers just get used to how it works. So again, we're going to go under and over, and as I'm pulling, watch as my fingers kind of loosen up and that thread automatically tightens onto my string. And then we're going to do it again. This time we're going to go under, or actually, I'm sorry, over and under, and tighten it again. So, one of the things that you can test if you're doing this on a chain, and we'll get into the difference between the chains and the rings in a little bit. If you're doing this on a ring like I am, my stitches are going to move nice and freely. You can see how I can tighten and loosen that. One of the things that you will be able to tell, so you can see how I could tighten and loosen, if I was not to flip my stitch, if I was not to transfer the stitch, the brown onto the white versus the white onto the brown, let me show you what happens. So again, we're going to go over and under, and then I'm going to pull this tight, but I'm going to leave my brown stitch on top. And then again, we're going to go over, under, and see, I have it. I just want to tighten that on. First off, we're going to have, you take a look, our stitch, if you look here, is formed a little bit differently. I've got the top of the stitch here on this side of the thread where it's on this side of the thread before. But if I try and move this ring, I can't do it. I can't shift. It's tied in place. So let's go ahead and undo that double stitch that I made. This can be a bit of a challenge, especially if you've gotten them really tight. So we're going to undo this double stitch. Okay, so this is a way that you can test to see how you're doing if you've got the stitches transferred in the right direction. I tried learning from some of the other videos that are out there, and I found when I went to try and complete my first pattern that what I thought I was doing correctly, I was actually doing the wrong the whole way. So that's why, you know, what they say, flip your stitch. And alright, what does that mean, flip your stitch? I thought I was flipping it the right way, but obviously my stitch flipping was not correct. So I'm going to show you again what they call to flip or flick your stitch, or whatever the terminology they use again. So here we've got our thread wrapped around our finger, and I am going to go under with my shuttle and then reach through and pull again. See how I'm loosening this string on my hand, tighten that ball. Sometimes you might need to give it a little bit of tug, and then you use your fingers here to draw that tight and draw that stitch right back down tight to the next one. And we're going to go over and then through that loop and tighten our stitch again. So I have 1, 2, 3 double stitches made. I'm going to go ahead and make another couple while you're watching. So under, tighten it, over, tighten it, under. No, see how sometimes you do have to give a little bit of a tug. Tighten it, over, tighten it. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I am going to close my chain. And now one of the things that you notice is I have this knot here, so I can't close it as well as I would like to, but let's just go ahead and pretend that we have our chain closed, or our ring. That's how you do a ring. Alright, so I changed my camera, so hopefully you get a little bit different view here. I'm having a harder time seeing, so hopefully it stays nice and clear for you. But we're going to go ahead and show you one more time how we're going to hold our thread to make both the ring here, the round part here, as well as our chain. So we've got a chain and we've got a ring. We're going to go ahead and pinch here between our thumb and our forefinger, the area where our chain is going to join to our ring. And then we're going to take our ring chain, remember that's going to be the lighter one that is on our yellow shuttle. That's why the shuttles come in 2 different colors in a pack, so that you can differentiate between which is your ring thread and which is going to be your chain thread. So we're just going to let our chain thread kind of drop out of the way. And again, pinch between our where they're going to join. Wrap our our ring thread around your hand, so then you've got a loop here that you can pull, open and close. You can tighten it down, open it up however you want. And then one of the things that I want to make sure is that I'm fairly close here, pinching to where my chain and my ring are going to join. So now that we've got our position held down here, again, we're going to hold our shuttle, palm up, with our fingers down beside, and turn it so that we can go under. We're going to start going under the loop on our finger, and then back over it and through our loop that's on our hand. Loosen the loop on our fingers, tighten our shuttle thread, and then tighten that stitch down. And then we're going to do the same again, palm up, switch so that we're going over our thread on our fingers here, underneath and through the loop that we have on our shuttle, loosen our fingers and tighten our stitch down. And we're going to do that for another series. We're going to go probably 10. So there was 2. Actually, I think that's our second. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we go to over. That is 4, and I'm going to check to make sure I've got them all tied right, because my ring here will tighten and loosen. I'm going to count. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 double stitches. So then we're going to go under or yeah, under over for 5, then over under for 5. So we're going to go under, over, that's going to be 6, over, under is 6, 7, 8, 9, and if you notice that you're going through and you're running out of room, just go ahead and open up your ring a little bit. And then we have 10. So there we've got our 10 double stitches. And to tighten our ring, we're just going to pull on our shuttle thread while we pinch our stitches here, and that will slide easily into our into the base of our other chain that we had made. Okay. Now if you take a look, one of the things that I didn't do here is I didn't make sure that I was tight enough to my chain when I started this ring, so I've got that gap. So I'll show you how to take care of that in just a minute. So what we're going to do is now we need to change to our chain formation. And so what I'm going to do is taking my ring thread on my yellow, remember the ring thread is on our yellow shuttle, I am going to wrap it a couple of times here around my fingers and hold it tight down here near where my the base of my ring is. And then again, we're going to use our fingers on the shuttle the same way. Palm up, sweep that yarn away from you. Then we're going to go under, over, and then pull this tight. And you notice that I'm going to have quite a loop in here because of the fact that I didn't tighten as much as I should have. But that's something that you'll run into when you're doing this for the first few times. And we're going to go over, under, and pull it tight. And like I said, you will get faster the more you do. You see that I am going quite quick with this. When I first started, I was clumsy. I couldn't keep anything straight. I was really slow with this. But it's kind of muscle memory as you get going. You know, things will progress. And so there I've got another chain of double stitches, and we're going to switch yet again. I'm going to show you how you can avoid that big loop that we had here. We're going to switch again to doing a ring. So again, I've got my ring thread. We're going to bring it over our hand and pinch here the base at the base of our chain, and we're going to go under, over, and pull it tight. But when I pull it tight, I want to make sure that I'm tight down here against the base of that stitch. And there I should stay nice and tight then, so long as I keep making sure that I'm snug right down onto those stitches. So there's 2. You can see that I am right down tight next to those. And then we're going to go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oops, I think I did that one wrong. Nope. And again, since I was getting kind of tight, I'm going to loosen up this here. And I know that I've got them all on the right string because my loop moves nice and freely. So there we have, I think that's 9, 10. And then I'm going to tighten that down again. So then you can see that this time my ring and my chain are really quite close together. So we're going to do one more chain here, and I'm going to show you again how to change your thread. So I'm going to take my ring thread and throw it behind my finger. So if you notice, if you're watching, I always have my my thread that I want to be on the outside is going over back of my hand. The thread that is going to be on the inside that my stitches are going to be formed on is actually going to be the one that's in my hand. So if you ever get confused about which one to hold where, the one that you want showing on the outside is going to be the one that's here on your hand wrapped together. So then we're going to go ahead and do another chain. So there's 3, 4, that was 5. And the one thing I have a hard time with chaining is I always run out of string, and so you've got to keep adjusting. That's one of the things that really bothers me when I'm chaining, is I have to actually stop and break my stride and try and remember how many stitches I've completed. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 7, oops, 8, 9, 10. So there I've got a series here where I've done, let's get it around here, a ring and a chain and a ring and a chain and a ring and a chain. So I'd like you to work on those, making sure that if you end up looking like this first section that I've got here where your chains are kind of loose, so you got missed stitches, continue working until you have it looking more like I have here on this section here, where you've got nice even stitches going along your chain, nice even stitches going along your ring, and your ring is fairly snug down onto your chain. So continue working at those. Get to be good at working on those, and we'll show you the next step in tatting, which is going to be creating picos, which are little loops, and that's how you join different parts of your pattern together, and we'll work on that with our next video. In the meantime, happy tatting.